Hello and welcome to episode 52 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. I am one of your hosts, Casey Gibson, and joining me this fine evening, as always, the one, the only, Perry Burkham.
If we had a deck of cards, we could have one card for every episode.
Well,
and I think that this is the Ace of Spades.
Well, I was going to say, that's not completely true. What about the Jokers?
Does that not count of the 52?
No, those are extra cards.
Well, we had the .5 episode and
that's
the PAX
true.
episode.
That's true. And the
boom,
the Ever Oasis mini episode, and
there you go. So
you're right.
There you go.
All right.
So that has the rule card, that comes with it.
Yep. The logic checks out.
Thank you.
Beautiful, Perry.
No one ever tells me that my logic checks out. Finally.
It only took 52 plus a few episodes, but we got the logic down.
Now, fair warning to everyone here, this is the most jam-packed episode ever in existence. We have so many games to talk about. Do you know how many games are on our eShop Roundup?
I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3?
No.
100?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. 28 games. So
yeah, that's
that.
because we've got 2 weeks worth, right? That's
Yeah, but then it was just a mother load of stuff.
Yeah,
but
so
anyway,
instead of doing a topic at the end of the show, we're just going to go, we've got a bunch of games to talk about that we've been playing. As Perry just alluded to, we've got the biggest eShop roundup of all time. And then we've got not a huge news section, but got some a hearty news section to wrap out the show.
You say that every single episode.
Yep. Well, it's the truth.
It's not a big news. It's a hearty news section.
Hey man,
every
that's
single time.
News talk with Casey Gibson is always hearty.
That's right. But let's get into what we've been playing, and I think I'm going to start it off.
Yes, sir. Let's hear
with
about
a game I've been dying to talk about, and it's one I reviewed for the old NWR, and that is Kingdom New Lands.
New lambs?
Lands. Land is... It's hard to say that.
Yeah, new lands?
Yeah, new lands. Like I've discovered new land. And then plural form.
You found a couple of these new lands.
Yes. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. Just for time's sake. But this is a game. It's a strategy / tower defense / roguelike elements kind of game. Gorgeous, amazing pixel art with amazing lighting effects and stuff. I mean, just very calming. The soundtrack. I
was gonna say, I'm looking at some screenshots, and the one that stood out the most was it's dark, it's nighttime, and just to see the light around the characters, the flames, from their torches, looks really cool.
Right, and so what you're saying is nighttime. So the whole game, the whole time, is day and night cycles, and it's really cool how they did it, because it's like there's always constantly either the sun is coming up. It actually comes up on the left side of the screen and it just kind of goes in a semicircle across the whole thing, like it rises and it sets,
or whatever around.
Yeah. So it's like that is your clock. So really cool idea. And then once it sets, then the moon comes up and does the same thing.
All right. Yeah.
And so really cool. And sometimes they play with that where they hide it with clouds, so you don't exactly know how much time you have left. Kind of stuff like that.
Does day and night affect what enemies are attacking?
Oh yes. So the whole point of the game is during the day, you are free and clear. Everything is great. There's no enemies. But at night, the greed, which is the enemies of the game, they come out of these portals and attack. And now the way this game is set up is that it's a big, just single side-scrolling land. Okay, so just huge, and the islands get bigger and bigger as you go through. Now I'll get into that, but you're on an island. You wake up. I mean, you're just there, and then this ghost leads you. It's the ghost of the previous
of Jimmy's past.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah, so it leads you to a campsite, and then you build from there. And then anyway, so it's all side scrolling in just one layer. You know what I mean? It's so you're the whole time you're on a horse and you're traveling from left to right, and building in the center and branching off left and right, gathering resources, gathering they call them vagrants, the people that, and then like you hire them to become your workers, and then they can be workers like builders or archers or farmers.
Okay, so they each like have a different role and what they can offer to you.
Yep, and everything exactly. So archers are gonna be like they're gonna just scout out the land kind of and kill animals and give you gold from them, and then builders will build. They'll build all your defenses up, your your eagle nests, and for your archers to sit up on, and then your walls, and also like catapults and other kind of stuff. Now, the game is extremely simple. Everything is completely introduced to you at a very nice pace. Like I said, it sounds kind of like a lot right now, but that's basically it. I mean, what I was just saying. And also, I'm hesitant to keep talking about everything in the game, because one of the best parts about my whole experience with the game was the organic progression of learning and strategizing in the game. I mean, honestly, learning what things do, the realization of what happens, like, oh my goodness, that that does that, or the satisfaction of setting up your guys to be getting as much gold as you can, and then the best ways to do that, how it works. Some of the most absolutely satisfying strategic gameplay I've ever played, if not the most. Seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to.
It's yeah.
Now,
I mean
can I ask you a question? When you say you get builders, right, to build things, now. Can you build up your town, or is it more like, okay, you need to protect this one building, like your town hall or whatever you want to call it, and then you could build, like defense towers and walls around it, or do you actually build up your kingdom and you need to, you know what I mean? You got to protect all of that.
Yeah. So remember, this is called Kingdom New Lands. I like to say that title again. Yes, good question. So the whole game runs on the same currency. It's just gold coins. You have this sack on the top right of your screen, and it fills up, and you can see. It's kind of cool because, like, once it fills up, you don't really know how much you have. Like, really, like, you can see it, and you get, like, how much you have, like, close, but you don't know exact until it gets down to where it's almost empty. Like, there's no counter of how much you have. But anyway,
that's strange.
No, but it's just one of those things it's cool. I mean, because then you're when you get it really going, it's overflowing and stuff, and it's just fun. Anyway, now what you were asking is so with the builders, you can upgrade your kingdom. Let's say I think there's 6 or 7 stages, and each one costs more money. So it's the first one's 3, then 4, 5, 6, or up to 9 or 10. And so each one, is giving you more features get unlocked as you go from the main town, and then you're also building up as you go throughout the land. You can keep going as far as you can. That there's little mounds that you just pay a coin, and then the builder comes and he builds it up one thing, and it's this little, sharpened logs pointing outward that is a really small, it can easily be overtook by 2 overtaken.
Yeah, it's not a great defensive item.
Yeah, but then you can upgrade it, for 3 more, and then upgrade it again, and then until it's, a really nice big stone thing that's hard to get through, But the thing is, that takes time, and it takes a lot of money, and every single gold coin counts. And so
I appreciate that. I like when the currency actually means something in a game, the economy actually runs well, and it's not you're
exactly.
flooded.
It really, that's a good point. It really is one of the best economies because like it's satisfying. Because it's like sometimes like you are just starving, like I just need 1 coin, you know?
Yeah, you're
I
like,
just
come
need
on.
one, and it's like so you're scouting the land. All of your archers that are out because they're gathering stuff. They can hold like up to 12 or something, you know, as they're killing rabbits and deer. They'll, you know, deer will give them 3, and then rabbits will give them 1, and so you just walk up to them, and then they'll stop, and then they'll drop all the coins they have to give to you. And so you're going and you're stopping at every single one. It's like, oh, come on, give me something. And it's like, oh, like the land is dry. They're not. And then like you get to one and he just like, he just barfs out like 12 coins. And it's just like, oh,
Jackpot,
baby. And
baby.
so it's like, then you're running back. And there's a stamina gauge on your horse too. Kind of like, you know, like Zelda, like the new Zeldas.
Mm-hmm.
That idea where, so it's like you're kind of balancing the act of not, because he can overheat. I mean, he can not overheat, but he get worn out.
I'm tired.
Yeah, and so then he can only trot. Then if he gets, so you're balancing it. But then if you let him eat some grass, he'll perk up right real fast. But yeah. So so the whole point is there's this broken ship on your island. You got to find it, pay a lot of money, and build it up. You know, like and then once it's built, you push it into the river. That's like next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the river goes through the whole thing, like in front of the field of vision, and then your guys push it down to the opposite end, and then you get on and leave. So
I'm out.
yeah, and so I mean,
is that when you go on to the next area? You said islands, right?
Yeah. Yes. Good. So there's 5 levels basically. There's like, you know, the first island, and then there's 4 more islands. And you know, they each get harder and bigger, and introduce more things. And it's just absolutely amazing. I'm Jill and I are gonna record the last island. I'm gonna record it to stream, or just to put on our thing.
Heck yeah. So real quick before, all right. So if I'm getting this right, there are 5 islands, and they're not. It's not like you progress from one to the last and need to do that in a single run. Once you bypass one island or finish an island, then you have the option to start a fresh run on one of the other islands.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for saying that. So when I was saying roguelike, the idea is, you know, if you lose your island, then, you know, you start from very beginning, from scratch, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, from that island. Now, I beat the first island. I can go to the second island. Now, if I died on the second island, I can just start from the second island.
Okay, that's nice. Because, I was thinking that would be, I mean, having not played the game, it seems like it would be a really tall task to
I mean, it wouldn't be impossible. It's just one of those things where it's like, why would you do it like that? Because it's like, I could be able to do it, but it's just, I'd have to keep playing through the first ones, and that's just a waste of time. But if that makes sense, so here's the thing, though. You can, I'm not going to spoil too much, but you can take certain things with you to the next islands. So you can stock up like crazy and then take it with you to the next island. And then if you lose it, then you lost everything.
Oh, yes.
So it's like, imagine where you have all these, if people don't want to hear like this, then maybe skip ahead 30 seconds. But imagine if you have a bunch of these, you know, of your people, and you go to the next island, and then you face them, and you just get pummeled. And you have a good thing going, but then you get pummeled, and then it's like, oh my goodness. And you're thinking, and I even started out with tons of people. So it's like, how is this ever going to work if I don't if I didn't have that
starting boost?
Exactly. So you want to go through, you know, like the first island and again, and you want to, and it's really satisfying and fun to get it all set up. So
I was actually going to ask, is how it incentivizes you to replay the levels, because if you say it's sort of like a roguelike, generally when I'm thinking that, like, okay, I'm going to be playing the same area over and over again, and it's going to be fun every time because the elements are different. Did you notice that on any particular island that each run was significantly different, or did you sort of have the same approach and it was just fun to do that over and over?
Okay, so I would say it's really fun to each time you play it, the island is always randomly generated. Like there's different, all the parts are different, and it really is a huge part is exploration. That's a huge part of it. Figuring out where stuff is, figuring out where the portals are, stuff like that. And there's also a lot of other little things that help no matter where they are. Building like where to build a farm, and like where stuff like that. And I'd say that that's the one thing that maybe would be lacking is replayability, because once you conquer an island, there are some unlockables that you can get by going through. So that's really cool. Like there's statues you unlock that unlock new features. Like so that's the incentive. But like other than like those collecting those things, which is genuine, but other than that, there's not a huge reason. But you're gonna spend a lot of time playing the game already. So it's just one of those things where it's like that's where the roguelike things stop, because it's not really meant for, I think, complete replayability all the time. But it is something where it's like I could totally see me in a year going and playing through the whole thing again. I mean, it's hard to say. That's a really good question, but it's just one of those things that I didn't even think about. Like, I'm not really thinking about the replayability because it's so
you're
epic
still
and
pushing
so much
forward.
fun, and it's just yeah. So,
How long do you think each island sort of took you to complete? Like, is it something where you're going to be playing this one island till you conquer it for a couple, 3-4 hours each island, or is it more like, all right, like each island maybe takes like an hour or so? Or I guess it probably varies. Obviously, I'm assuming the later you get is probably the more difficult they're going to be. But
yep. Now this is what's really cool. This is what I love about this is that first island was incredibly hard to learn and conquer. And then the second island is like you take all of the knowledge from the first and bring it to the next. Like there's nothing. So you feel good about that, and then you're finding out new things. And then it keeps going. Now, the second island is way harder, but in the same sense, it's almost the same difficulty because you know more. So you're still going through and learning more things, and it's still hard in one sense, but you already know a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so you've already got a grasp on what sort of has to be done.
Yeah, but, and then the third...
I was going to say, I feel like that's a great sign. I mean, I love when a game gives you tools, to make you feel like you're doing better because you are, but also keeps that difficulty where it's not all of a sudden a pushover,
Exactly. And so this is my favorite part is that we were playing, Jill and I, which Jill has played the entire game with me. She's absolutely in love with the game. This might be the best like cooperative game we've ever played. So I just want to say that the strategic, and it's really nice to have a second person there to help you with strategy. Because like you need to get back over there, do this, and it's like, oh yeah. Anyway, we beat the third one. Oh my goodness, it was so hard and so satisfying when we beat it. It was just like the best feeling in the world. Like seriously, like when they're pushing the ship and you're like, oh, are they gonna come attack from the back? And like you're just waiting because the enemies spawn and you don't know when they're coming. It's like they could send like there's these huge enemies that they're called breeders, and they spit out other enemies, and it's just like they destroy, like they can just take down walls like nothing. And so it's like they could come out and you're pushing that way. It's like I could go back and my whole town is destroyed. Like I don't know.
Geez,
it's that it keeps you on edge, but it's also like you should have a good idea, but you never know. It's that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should be well stocked to defend. Anyway, we beat the third island, and super hard. We went and did the fourth, and we beat the fourth island on our first try.
Woo, baby! You guys were prepared.
Yeah, I mean, so it was that thing where we took all of our knowledge from the other stuff. We pushed forward. We were assuming things that we thought would happen in the fourth, and we got it right. Just the most amazing strategic experience I've ever had. I mean, I absolutely love the game. One of my favorite games on Switch.
Yeah, I know you were excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I am, but also kind of not excited to talk about it because like I was explaining to you, I've learned over the years to not promote something
to overhype
you love, to overhype it, because then people get this different picture of what it is. And I don't want that to happen to people listening to this. You know, I like so.
Best
forget
game,
everything
10
I
out of
just
10.
said. Forget everything I just said in the past 20 minutes. And no, I really think that I feel like it's one of the games where if I didn't review it for the site, I don't know if I would have picked it up, and that scares me. Because this is one of my favorite games, like, ever.
Yeah, well,
it is really, really good.
well, it's a good thing you got the review then.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, you know, I just mean for me, you know, like other people might not like it as much, but it's kind of people call it it's a really big hit online. And it's even on mobile too. They ported it to mobile, which is cool. I mean, which makes sense. It's so simple in concept.
Boo.
So. Yeah, but anyway, check that out. Check out my review. I gave it a very good review, as you'd expect. On
well, you gave it an 11 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Must buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this is a game I know, like you said, you've been singing its praise to me subtly, like you said, sort of not trying to overhype it, but yeah. I'm likely going to pick this game up eventually. It's just sort of finding the sweet spot to do it.
No, I don't blame you, man, because, and maybe this is a good segue, we have been playing a lot of games, and you've been reviewing. There's 3 games on here that we're going to talk about today that you've reviewed, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it's been a busy 2 weeks, or whatever it's been, and but it's good. Been playing some good games, some bad games, the whole gamut, you know, mediocre games.
That's right.
But
now, which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's go with the pooper, the old poop shoot, and that is 36 Fragments of Midnight. I should reiterate, it's not like the worst game I've ever played, but it just is a very
it's forgettable.
Yeah, forgettable. It's a forgettable game, and you know how when you approach a 2D platformer, I feel like obviously it's, you know, one of the most popular genres, especially I feel like for indie developers, you know, because I don't want to say it's easy to do, but it's a very, you know, all right, 2D, let's make the jumping right, let's make some levels, you know, it feels like a very approachable genre, you know what I mean, if you're maybe just starting out, or, you know, even if you haven't just started out, you know, people love 2D platformers, so it's very congested genre. So when I think when you approach the genre with so many games in it, you need to do one of 2 things, and that's sort of either bringing something unique to the table, you know, changing up the pace, or doing something that sets it apart from the others, or you just need to absolutely nail that, you know, the platforming and level design.
Or the aesthetic, or level design for sure. Yeah. That's the most important.
So it's like, you know, if you do one of those, you know, 2 things, there's a good chance you can sort of, you know, stand out among the masses. But with 36 Fragments, it really doesn't do either of those. So the first thing you're going to notice, it looks really nice. It doesn't use many colors. I think I counted 4. I think it's black, white, blue, and yellow. And, like, a couple shades of blue, because the background is, like, obviously it's midnight, as you would imagine. It's nighttime. So, you know, you've got, like, you know, a nice midnight blue in the background. You know, there's, like, a big tree in the background, too, and it looks nice. It's smooth, you know what I mean? Looking. Yeah, and, like, your character is just essentially a little box with eyes that can move around and jump. And your abilities are pretty much just jump, double jump, and move around. So it's very easy to...
I love a good double jump.
Yep. Well, this is not necessarily a good double jump, but we'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, your main goal is you pop into the game, and this is a roguelike. So you start out, and it goes, hey, you know, we're missing our 36 star fragments. We would like you to go collect them, and once you do, just bring them back to me. Or, you know, this spot where you spawn. So you're like, okay. And there are these little, like, creatures that they look like fuzzes almost, or like little spiky balls. And essentially they're just black with, like, little faces. And they're in the background. You can, you know, walk right through them. And it's like, okay, like I'm just gonna go out and try and find these fragments, and you're gonna find them quick. This isn't a huge map, the world map. It's not it's not an unbelievably tiny area, but it's not large. So you run into fragments pretty frequently, and you'll find that most of them are pretty easily obtainable too. With some just sort of out in the open, like, oh, I just got to jump up on that platform and grab it. And then there's some that are like, that make, you'll have to do a little bit of, platforming and dodging to do it. So pretty much the three elements you're going to run into are lasers. And, some are constant lasers that you just sort of need to jump over. Some are on a timer, so, you'll have to wait for it to go off, run, grab the fragment, and then back out before it turns back on. There are saws, which some are stationary and some are moving, and you'll need to jump over those. Or some are going up and down, so you'll have to either wait for it to go back up to go underneath, or you can jump over it. And then there are spikes, which, as you imagine, are just you hit them, you die. So one shot and you're dead, and when you die, it's a game over. It says, oh, you've got 12 out of 36 fragments. You know what I mean? Like, try again. And you start right back at the beginning, and there you go. So, like I said, most of these fragments are pretty easily obtainable. You just, I think the most difficult one is there's like a fragment, there's like a laser shooting, almost parallel to the ground, horizontally. And you got to wait for it to turn off. You need to jump down, grab a fragment, jump back up. I think there was another instance where a fragment's like over a thing of spikes, so you'll need to like jump, get the fragment, and then jump back up again, which, isn't really that difficult. So, like I said, most of these things are pretty easy to get. And, when you first die, you'll realize, like, oh, wow, this is actually randomly generated. Like, okay, like, this is sort of cool. I'm going to see some replayability if I do want to replay through this game, with random placements. But it's sort of a tease, because it is randomly generated, but it's not. So when I say that, I mean the layout of the world is randomly generated, but I noticed that around each fragment, it seemed like the set pieces or what you needed to do to get that fragment were always the same. It's just a matter of when and where you ran into that. So you'll see, like, oh, that's the fragment that I need to avoid the laser. Oh, that's the fragment that is over the spikes that I need, you know what I mean? And, like,
right. So
it's, like, while you can replay it and you won't know what you're going to run into, once you see the fragment, you're like, oh, all right, I've done this before. So that was a little disappointing, because this game is short. I think, it took me a couple tries to get all the fragments without dying, but when you do, it takes maybe 5 or 6 minutes to get all of them and get back.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I beat the game from when I first booted it up to, doing a couple runs, dying, and then getting them all within 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
You beat the game in 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, like I said, this game, I mean, and, since I was reviewing it, I've played it, a few times through, and yeah, it's always like 5, 6, 7 minutes to complete.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and like I said, now...
So it's a little game.
Yeah, it's a tiny game, and I think it's only $2.99, so it's not like you're breaking the bank or spending $10 on a game that's going to last you 10 minutes, but even if you're spending $3, you'd like to get a little bit more out of it. And like I said, where originally I saw their randomly generated levels, I was thinking, okay, like, this game isn't particularly deep or anything, but if I can jump in there and, for 10 minutes, and each time it's, drastically different what I'm, where these fragments are and what I'm doing to get them, but since it is pretty much just the same ones in random spots, it's like, well, now I don't really have any incentive to go back to play this game, like, I've already seen everything it has to offer. And on top of that, as we mentioned before, the double jump, it's really weird. So essentially this game is like you're moving left and right, and then eventually you'll get to a spot where it's like, oh, I need to jump down or jump up, and like think of it as like a 3, 4, 5 story building. You know what I mean? Like, when you jump up a floor, the screen moves up with you, and then now you're on that floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's very jerky. So the screen doesn't move until your character hits the top or the bottom of the field of view. So when you hit that, it jerks up, and you don't know what is below or above you until you do that. So there are instances where you might do a double jump up and jump into a thing of spikes because you didn't know it was there. So that's sort of frustrating. But what's worse is when you jump up, and the screen transitions, sometimes you just lose your second jump. Like, it just won't work. And it's like, ugh. And, sometimes you might fall down into an obstacle, and die. Or, even if you don't die, it's just, like, frustrating to be like, well, like, why is my second jump not working? You know what I mean? Like, and it didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason why that was occurring. But it was just like, ugh. It's like this game, it didn't really do anything special to jump off the page. And now the double jump is finicky when you're moving up and down on the jerky screen, and it just
jerky.
Yeah, some beef jerky.
That sounds really good. But yeah, it just seems like it's just kind of like why bother, like with the game, like what's the point of getting the game?
Well, yeah, that's pretty much essentially why I was like, it's just a very forgettable game.
Yeah.
So that's like when I was going through it, the first time or two, I was like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, this game is so bad, I don't want to play this.
Right, it's functional.
It was like, yeah,
and
it works. Yeah, it's got a little weird thing with the double jump, but like I can overcome that, for the most part. But yeah, ultimately, it's a 10 to 15 minute game that doesn't do anything particularly great or stand out aside from like a nice art style. But I mean, that art style has been done before as well, so it's not even like that's super unique. And it's just like, well, in 5 years, am I going to remember? In a year, am I even going to remember this game? It's like, no.
In a day.
Yeah, it's like I had to read my review again to for talking about it because I'd already forgotten. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah, I've forgotten what the name was.
Yeah, it's like,
But yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, it's just a very forgettable game. Like, not that it's cheap, so awful. It's just, it is what it is.
Mediocre.
Well, that mediocre at best.
Yeah. Right. Mediocre at best. Well, so basically, we talked longer about that than the game.
Yeah, essentially.
Lasts.
Well, I was thinking I might record and upload just a playthrough for like a mini play, but then I was like, I don't know if it's going to be long enough for a mini play.
Yeah, a micro play. Nice. Well, yeah, let's move on. The next game we have, I think we should talk about
the new or the old one.
We can talk about it together.
All right, so the new one.
Sorry, what?
So the new one then.
It starts with an L.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we got a couple we can talk about.
Yeah, I thought we were going for the old Metroid block, but I see. Yeah,
nope.
We'll wait on that.
Okay.
Yes.
The next game that Casey reviewed and I've been playing as well is Lichtspeer.
It's Lichtspeer.
What's the subtitle?
It's like Double Spear Edition.
Yeah.
The Switch there.
Yeah, I mean, since you were doing all the talking before, I can talk about this a little bit.
I'm tired of hearing your voice, Casey.
Yeah, go away. Seeing the trailer for this game, it looks really funny and lots of character, lots of cool colors. Action. This guy throwing spears and running and through the levels and stuff. So, I thought, okay, this is like a running game where you're throwing stuff.
It's a stationary game where you're throwing stuff.
Yeah, but it's a stationary game. Yes, you literally you don't run. You only run in between levels.
And you don't even run.
automatically.
The game does it for you.
Right, exactly. And but you're at a certain part of the screen. You know, at the beginning of the game, you're at like the front of it, but then it switches, which is really cool. Anyway, but you stand there and you have a spear and it's arched back, and you can throw it as many times as you want because it's the Lichtspeer, and you just, the whole game is kind of arching and defeating oncoming enemies as they come. Kind of, I mean, in a sense, kind of like Angry Birds, you know?
Yeah, it's got that kind of feel
but,
to
you know,
it. Yeah.
But not strategy. It's not like trying to sit there and
Yes, it's
like,
reaction based. Like you need to.
Yeah, like I have to. Yeah, like there'll be some big enemies that, you know, that require more. If you don't hit them in the head, require, you know, like 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever hits. And then, you know, more enemies come. But yeah, so then you have slow enemies, you have fast enemies. And you know what? It's actually a pretty fun game.
Yeah, no, I remember when I first started playing it, like the first level or two, I was like, this is all right, but I have a feeling this is going to sort of be
the first level,
boring,
it is not the best first level.
Yeah.
I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah, like Perry said, so essentially when you first start off the game, it's like you're just on the left side of the screen and you have enemies running at you from the right side, and you just need to mow them down. You know, you hold down the throw button to sort of gauge how far it's going to go. And I feel like for me, I almost always just fully charged it and just, you know, adjusted the trajectory from there. And then as you move on, there's like 5 sections in each stage. So it's like you have a screen of enemies, you take all the enemies out, you move on to the next screen, you know, and you do that and you complete levels, you know, going that way. And like Perry said, the first one's a little like, okay, but then all of a sudden they start to throw in some different elements. You know, all of a sudden you'll be in the middle of the stage, and now enemies are coming from both left and right. And you know that's all of a sudden now you're managing, like, okay, now I'm not just worrying about where they're coming from one side. Now I need to be a little more cognizant of both sides. You know what I mean? I can't just focus on one. Then they have enemies in, you know, flying vehicles that you know, that you have to arch up in the air. Birds start coming, seals, and the walruses and all that, and
the walruses that slide down a slope.
Well, yeah, that's, I think, the most interesting thing actually is when they start introducing the slopes. So
yes, for sure.
You know, you'll be,
it completely changes trajectory of everything.
Oh, and it's like, especially I found throwing uphill was very difficult because, you know, obviously you need to compensate for the slope, but all of a sudden these walruses are coming down on skateboards and they're flying and you're like, oh my god, I'm like, Jesus! And then all of a sudden, you know, now you know you need to throw it in front of them and, you know, have them, as they're going, hit them moving, you know what I mean? And it becomes difficult. And, you know, later in the game, enemies start having armor that require you to get a headshot. And, you know, they really ramp it up. The difficulty gets pretty tough towards the end.
I don't know if you mentioned it, but, I mean, if you get hit once, you're dead. And you start at that checkpoint like that you were at. Like you said, there's 5 checkpoints, basically, in every level.
Yeah, it's, like I said, the mechanic is simple, but they do a nice job of keeping it, you know, relatively fresh. Like towards the end, repetitiveness sort of sets in. You know what I mean?
They have bosses, though. Yeah, they have bosses and very funny characters. Very nice, you know, art style. Reminds me of. It reminded me of the that, not Guacamelee, but the other game.
Oh,
that they made, Severed.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely has like a juice box.
But
drink box. I keep calling it juice box.
Drink box.
Isn't it? Is it drink box? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I like juice box. Anyway, but yeah, I think Lichtspeer is a very it's interesting because it has lots of character and it pokes fun at itself. I mean, it's you know, it's very funny.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if you read like the description on the website asking what the game is, in a land filled with penguin Vikings, worst zombies, and hipster ice giants, survival is an art. Fortunately, an ancient champion with an elegant weapon has been summoned to please the gods and restore balance to the universe. Grab your Lichtspeer and become a Germanaut and traverse through lands straight out of Germanic myths. Survive with style and expand your powers to fight for the glory and amusement of the almighty gods. Then in all caps, aim. Period. Shoot. Period. Kill. Period. Die. Period. The Lich gods demand it. This game is so weird.
It is. But now, there's another thing we forgot to mention is like if you miss 3 times in a row,
you get penalized.
You get penalized, and you can't you can't throw for like. It seems like
an eternity.
10 seconds, but it's like 3 seconds, and it's like, oh, come on, and then you die. And,
yeah, that's brutal. What did you think of the bosses?
I like the bosses. They were hard, and they got just really hard because it's like the one hit thing, and then. See,
yeah. With me, I like the bosses.
Like,
I thought they were good. A couple of the later ones required such precision on the shots that it was a little frustrating. Especially since some of these fights are pretty long, so I felt like it'd be like, okay, all right, I'm dying. I need to make that shot perfect. I die a couple times, get that shot. But now all of a sudden there's like an equally as difficult shot afterwards. And like all of a sudden it's like, man, I got to do that whole fight up to that point again to sort of get down the muscle memory for the shot. Because some of them not only require precision, but like they require you to do it, at the drop of a hat. Like you don't have a lot of reaction time. So I thought some of the bosses spiked up in difficulty pretty high. And, not like it was a deal breaker, but it was sort of annoying when it's like you've got this somewhat long fight and, I need to get this like near perfect shot towards the end of it. And, you're going to die a few times and now you need to restart from scratch. So it's like that was a little frustrating, but I mean, I thought they did definitely some clever ideas with the bosses.
Right. It's definitely a hard game. So just know that going into it. But yeah, I mean, if that sounds up your alley, is it $10 or?
I think it was. I can tell you in a
$10.
Also to make note, as it is the double spear edition, there is a multiplayer. Now.
Yes, true.
What,
I haven't got to try that yet.
I tried a little bit with myself. And it's like you have a floating dog that pretty much stands right over the top of you. So the second player controls that person, and they have a spear. Now, the caveat is that you lose some of your special abilities, which we didn't touch on yet. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So essentially, you earn points and money or whatever. Actually, they're called LSD.
Yeah.
And it stands for something. I forget off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
But that's the currency, and it's like, man, this game's strange. But you have 3 abilities. One is sort of like it's an offensive skill, where your spear splits into 3 or, etc. And there's a couple different options that you could purchase. There's one that's more defensive, and then there's one that's just like it's going to kill every single enemy on the screen. Like, you press the button and like a million spears rain from the skies and just kills all the enemies on the screen. Sort of like a fail-safe, like, oh crap. So you can purchase these, and there's different abilities, and you can also upgrade them. And each ability has a cooldown timer, so you can't just spam them. And they definitely help you, especially when it starts to get a little hectic. And it's just fun to do some of them. Like some of the offensive ones. Where you're like, oh, I split my spear into 3, and then it hit 3 different enemies. Like, oh, that was a money shot.
Yeah, totally satisfying.
So that's really fun. But yeah, if you do decide to play co-op, you will. I don't know if you lose them all or just maybe a couple of them, but you definitely lose out on some of those abilities. But you have a second person throwing spears, so it sort of balances out that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. So that's Lichtspeer Double Spear Edition.
Yep. I got the review up on the website too if you want to check that out.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, we've been reviewing like mad men.
The Talk Nintendo boys have been busy.
Yeah. And I guess I wanted to go into the new hotness now. Uh, we've been waiting for years for this to make a comeback on Nintendo consoles. And,
Finally, you could play basketball,
finally.
baby.
Yes. Let's talk 2K18.
Well, it has been about 5 years since 2K8, well, not 2K18, but 2K Basketball, has graced a Nintendo console back. I believe it was
Back at the launch of the Wii U.
2K13 for the Wii U, yes. So yeah, 2K is back. Sports games are back on this Nintendo consoles. So I was excited to get my hands on this game. Now, I have actually never played a 2K sports game, but from all accounts, I've heard they do a fantastic job, especially, where EA, I feel like, tends to be a little lazy from their year-to-year iterations. I've always heard people who are big into sports games praising what a great job 2K does as far as, paying attention to the details of the game and making it feel like a really, great experience. Now,
Cool. Yeah, that's good to hear. I haven't really heard that. But
did
cool.
you hear other things, or do you just not?
I haven't heard that they are good on their updating and stuff.
Yeah, no, I've always heard like 2K was really good. So I was excited to get into this game. And honestly, it's sort of weird because it's both really great and really bad at the same time.
Let's talk about the really great stuff.
Okay, and honestly, there's really only one area of the game that's really bad, in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a second. So as far as the game goes, it looks really nice on the Switch. Handheld mode, it looks great. Even docked, it looks really nice. I've seen comparison videos, with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and it's actually pretty close, all things considered. Those being much more powerful consoles, obviously, than the Switch. But it definitely isn't as nice graphically. But it's very impressive, and actually getting into the game, the actual core mechanics of playing basketball are fantastic. All of it feels really good. You can get in, and it's accessible to people who are not really big into sim sports games, because what you can do is you've got your face buttons are pretty much shoot and a couple different kinds of pass. Then hold down the trigger to run. When you're playing defense, there's like a jump block button, and then like a sort of try and swat the ball away button. And if you don't want to go deeper than that, you can play just like that, and maybe not set the difficulty up super high, but you'll be able to play and have a good time, and it's not that difficult to get into.
So that's all you did?
No. Yes. No. But then at first, it's like you start with that to learn the basics, like, okay, and then once you start to get that, you can start digging a little deeper. All of a sudden you can start setting pick and rolls. You can, get different, set plays going on. You can, if you hold down, I believe, like, might be the right bumper, all of a sudden, like, it gives you all of your teammates, assigns them a button to press to pass to them instead of just, like, passing and pushing towards a player. If you want to, maybe drive towards the net, then all of a sudden kick it back out to someone to take a three-pointer. And essentially, like, at first, again, I've never really played a serious sim basketball game. So my knowledge of basketball is like NBA Jam. So initially when I'm starting...
That's my knowledge.
Yeah.
That's literally all of my knowledge on basketball in general.
And that's a damn great game. I love that game. But, yeah, essentially, I'm just taking shots from all over the, court, okay, like, come on. Like, I'm going to start making some of these, but it really isn't like that at all. And you do need to play defense, and you do need to take smart shots, and making sure you're open. Like, it really affects, like, whether someone's in your face when you're shooting or when you have a little bit of an open lane really dictates how the likelihood that your basket's going to drop. So
Right.
it really is a game that you're going to need to go into with a more strategical approach. You can't
cool.
just go in there and wing up shots from wherever and just be like, well, I'm going to win the ball game anyway,
Right.
So it's really it's a deep game, you know what I mean? And it offers, like I said, the accessibility to people who don't want to get too deep into it, but also, like you could peel back the layers and get really, really deep into the game if you want to. So
it's an onion.
Yes, and it's an onion. Yeah, essentially an onion. So yeah, there's a ton of different modes to get into. They have My League, which is essentially like a seasoned mode where you go in and you pick your team. You can control the roster moves and whatnot. But it's for more or less you're going to play as the team. You're going to try and win a championship. And I believe it says you can play up to 80 years of My League, which, I mean, I guess if you simmed most of the games, you'd be able to get through. But if you plan on playing the games, it's like, I don't see how anyone could ever do that. But, that's sort of like the bread and butter.
There are millions of hours of gameplay on
literally. So, yeah, I mean, for when I play sports games like Madden or something, usually, like, I do the season mode where it's like I just take control of a team and I play the games and maybe I'll make some trades, and that's that. And that's essentially what My League is. There is My GM mode, which is similar to My League, but there's more like story elements. You're like a previous NBA player whose career was cut short due to injury, so now you're the GM, and like
Is there like a bigger story to that?
I think that's pretty much it. Like
there's no like slow mo of you getting injured like on
if you
the court.
look right here, you can see this is where his knee explodes.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, but yeah, and then essentially, so that's more of like it's like My League, but with some story elements, and you're the GM, But you when you play the games, you still are controlling the entire team, and all that jazz. There's My Career, which I'm going to touch on in a minute. That's like the flagship mode, and I'll get into that in a second. There is My Team, which is like a card-based fantasy team. Like you can purchase packs, I believe with real money if you really wanted to, but like you earn currency and you can spend that currency on these packs of cards, and essentially you build like a dream team. You can have players from, any team, I believe any era, you know what I mean? You can get you can get Shaquille O'Neal and all that. And
Michael Jordan?
You probably. Although I don't know, I feel like MJ never let the likes of himself in video games, but I could be wrong on that. But
yeah, he just had the likes of himself in Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it's a good movie. But yeah,
Heck
My
yeah.
Team, I didn't dive too deep into it, but people seem to really like that card-based thing. Yeah, I mean, whatever floats your boat. There's like a blacktop mode, which is, you're playing out on like the park, like in the streets or what, not the streets, but like, basketball courts in the cities. And what's cool about this mode is it offers 1v1 up to 5v5. So if you want to play 3v3, instead of your standard 5v5, you can do that there. There's the online modes, which are amazing, dude. I mean, all of the games I've played, I did not experience like any lag, and I did that. I mean, my Switch is plugged into a LAN, through the Ethernet, but I did do some games in handheld mode just to test to see how it worked on Wi-Fi. No problems at all. It ran perfectly.
Awesome.
Almost.
That's really cool.
Like anytime I did a game, within a minute or so, I was matched up with someone. I was never waiting too long, and I was really, really surprised with
and that
how
was pre-released too.
Yeah.
So.
The game released on Friday for the Switch. Like you could buy it.
Oh, that's right.
You could buy it from there. But no, I never had any bad experience aside from this one Jim Brony who was playing like the all Lakers team. So he had like 99 ratings across the board and like 5 Hall of Famers. And I'm like, come on, dude. Like I'm playing with like some random like real NBA team who's like not that, like they were still a good team, but it's like, come on, man. You're playing online.
That's weird that like...
Yeah, I thought they should separate
That's weird that you can do that.
Yeah, it should be like if you elect to play with like 5 Hall of Famers on a team. Like, you should only be paired up with other people that are playing those teams, but...
Yeah, for sure. Anyway.
Oh, and that guy just absolutely wrecked me.
Now, how long does like one match
It
go?
depends. I believe the standard, like, if you don't want to mess with anything, it's 6-minute quarters. I don't think they're real 6 minutes, but it probably takes you like a half hour.
Okay.
Maybe a little
Cool.
longer to play a full match.
Sounds great.
When I was playing in like the My League, I switched them down a couple minutes to just make the games go more briskly, which I felt was nice. But yeah, I mean, online, like I said, I can't understate just how great the online worked. I was really, really happy with that.
Right. Well, man, because this is a retail release, right?
It is, but not yet for the Switch. For some reason, the physical copy of 2K wasn't coming till I think the first or second week of October for some reason.
Interesting. Okay.
So.
Well, it's funny because it's like if I can get this, like, this game will no doubtedly be, very cheap at some point.
Oh yeah, by next summer.
And so.
You'll be able to pick it up for $20.
Man, I wonder if the next one's coming. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder where we're at now because we're still at the beginning, but with Doom and Wolfenstein 2 and Skyrim and stuff, it's just what a weird era we live in. But yeah, well, the game sounds pretty good.
So yeah, that the game is great, right? And if we just ended it right there, I'd probably be like, oh, this is like a 9 kind of game. You know what I mean? Easily.
Cool. But
my career mode. So, all right. So the idea behind my career mode is you create a character and, you start by being invited to like this, competition in the neighborhood where you're going and you're competing in 3-on-3 and you go through a couple games and all of a sudden they're like, wow, you're pretty good, this, that, and the other thing. And then like a scout comes and he's like, hey man, like I saw you out there. You were great. Like we'd like to give you a tryout. You want to come, try out for, and then whatever team you pick is your favorite, So I picked the Knicks. And like, yeah, the Knicks, we're holding a tryout. If you want to come down tomorrow and, maybe you can make the club. And he's like, you got an agent? And you're like, no. And he's like, sorry then, man. Like, you need an agent. But luckily, before, some guy was like, hey, here's my card. So you call him up, and then he becomes your agent. And like, there's a lot of story in this mode, which was sort of surprising. Like, you go back to your, like, apartment, and, like, you've got, like, your friend, and she's, like, try to be ghetto, like, girl, and she's like, oh, yo, like, I'm gonna be your agent now. And you're like, oh, my, I'm like, what is going on right here?
Oh, no.
But essentially, you go, you do this tournament, you get a tryout, and then you're on the team. And it happens really quick, so it's like, it's sort of weird to, like, think, like, I feel like it should have been more lead up to making the team, but essentially, like, I played, like, 3 crappy games at this, like, street tournament. They all praised me despite it being terrible. And then I made the team after, like, a poop tryout, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, like, they'll just take anyone. And I know the Knicks are bad, but, like, come on now. But, yeah, so then, essentially, one of your teammates, like, takes you under his wing, and he's like, you're my rookie, man. Like, I got you. And then, like, he's sort of like your mentor, and you go into the games, and now in this mode, you only play as your character. So when you're in the game, when you're playing a normal game, it's sort of, you get a side view of the court, where, like, the hoop is like, the hoops are on your left and your right. When you're playing in my career mode, it's the other way around. So the hoop is right in front of you and behind you, and you only control your character. So it's important to, like, they do a good indication of, like, sort of telling you who you need to cover. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not...
Wait, it's a completely different camera angle?
Yeah. And it's like I said, in the other modes, you have control of the team. So it's like, you could switch to any player at any time. In this mode, you literally only play as one character. And
Man, I did not realize that.
yeah, so it's sort of cool.
I mean, I got the one character. I didn't realize it was like a completely different gameplay change.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely is different. So now you're, like I said, you're playing that way, and you get graded on how well or bad you do. You know, it's like, oh, you didn't guard your man well enough. Like, you take a little hit. Oh, you made a nice pass. Oh, you're moving the ball around nice. You get some bumps up, and like you start with a C grade, and it fluctuates from there. And essentially, you know, you just want to keep getting better, and then your character levels up, and you ultimately become better and better. When you first start, you know, you're on the bench. So when you're on the bench, you just watch from the bench. And you could press A to skip all of that. But,
Okay.
you know, so in the beginning...
So it's totally simulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
So in the beginning, you know, when you're really bad, like, you're only playing a couple minutes a game. So it's like, all right, like, and that's fine. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing. But what's annoying is the pre and the post game. So like before the pre-game, there's always a little cutscene with your mentor and like other, you know, like you meet like the security guard and you become buddies with him, like, and then like one of the equipment guys comes in and you befriend him. So there's always like interactions between these people, and you know in the beginning it's like, oh, that's sort of funny, like, okay, but like eventually you're like, oh, I just want to get like, because you're not playing a lot in the beginning, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to just play some ball right now.
I want to play some b-ball.
But you can't skip the cutscenes. The load times are very long for all these things in between. And then the worst part is that, like, these cutscenes, half the time they chug at, like, half speed. And then there's times where, like, the audio just cuts out. And, like, now I'm watching a cutscene moving at half speed with no volume. And I'm like, and I can't skip it. I'm like, oh.
Like, yeah, I mean, I read Nintendo Life's review of it too, and they're like, you know, it runs at half speed, and then the volume, I mean, the audio just gets done, but then you have the rest of of the visuals to catch up with it, so it's just silence.
And if you could skip it, it wouldn't really be that bad, but you can't. And then, like I said, it's like, oh, then the load times, like, I just want to play the game. And then when the game's over, you kick back out to the neighborhood, which is sort of like a hub area. And when you're connected online, you actually have, like, you see other players running around this area too. And there's things to do. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there's objectives to go to the barber shop. And, like, there's, you know, go to the NBA store. Go see your agent. Then you can go to the practice facility and you can do different drills, which are mini games essentially. And it's like, you know, oh, you want to improve your 3-point shooting? Here's a set of drills you could pick from and do that way.
And then it actually improves the stats.
Oh, yeah, you like, because essentially you start out at level 60 and you level up and like you get better that way. So,
that's
you
cool.
know, it's contributing to that. And then there's also like the gym you can go to, and there's like, those feel really mini gamey, where like when you're doing the drills, it's like you're playing basketball still, you're just doing certain things like, oh, like you're playing one-on-one, but you got to shoot from beyond the three, so like, you know, but when you're in the gym, it's like press these buttons, you know what I mean, and like to do different drills and improve that way. Now, these are, you know, fine, but the problem is the load times. So, you know, it's like the games aren't that engaging and fun enough that I like wanted to like go through the load time to go into the facility, pick my thing, load a little bit to get to the drill, do the drill, leave the area,
right.
Load back up, then, you know what I mean? Like, it just got to the point where it wasn't worth it to me. And I was like, so I was just skipping all that other crap to just do the games for the most part. Like, you know, I would go and check out, like when you go to the barber shop after you make the team and you're like with your friends, like, yeah, I made it. And you're like, this is awesome. And then like one guy's like, dude, I'm proud of you. Like, here's some headphones. And then when you're walking through the hub, now all of a sudden you hear music, you know what I mean? Which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's some nice touches in there, but just ultimately like the long load times like pushed me away from doing the side stuff. And then like the cut scenes and like all the glitchiness of involved with those. And like that's when you would see some graphical glitches, like with some shadowing and texturings being a little weird, and like that's where the character models look the worst up close when they're talking and stuff. So this like mode is sort of a disaster, and there's also like a save issue going on where, so essentially
Yeah, this sounds bad.
So essentially, when you play online, you're saved online, you cannot play that character offline. So, which I'm thinking, like, if you had the PS4 or Xbox version, like, that's not really a big deal because you're playing at home. So if you're connected online one time, for the most part, you're probably going to be connected all the time. But with the Switch, since you're playing on the go, that sort of screws things up. But now, like, when I went to play, it was like, oh, your file save has been corrupted. Like, you're going to have to make a new character. So I was like, oh, like, that's weird. And then I looked online, and I saw, like, oh, you can, like, when you're connected back online, like, your character's there. Like, I guess your character's saved on the server. So that's fine, you know what I mean? But if you made, like, an offline character and that save corrupt save happens, like there's no way to get that character back, and they said there's patches coming out for the Xbox and PS4 version, but I have not heard anything on the Switch patch yet on that.
Man, that's crazy.
But yeah,
hopefully they get that patched in.
But yeah, I mean, so when it boils down to it, it's like for me, like how I play my sports games, like I would, if I had just bought the game for myself because I wanted to play it, I would have never have touched my career mode anyway. Just because I don't like, that's not why I play sports games. I like to take pre-existing teams.
You like to play the sports
games.
I
like to take the pre-existing game teams and play with them that way. You know what I mean? So like for me, like the way I normally consume sport games, 2K18 plays great because the basketball action's top notch. The modes that I would be interested in work really well, but I know a lot of people really do enjoy that my career mode. So it's like that's and that's the mode they tout. You know what I mean? That's their flagship. Like, hey, this is why you want to play. Like this mode's awesome, but in its current state, it is far from awesome. So, I mean, hopefully hopefully they patch it, fix up some of the issues facing that. I don't know if they can maybe patch in and try and make load times a little better. I mean, honestly, if everything worked fine, maybe it wouldn't be so bad sitting through the load times and the cutscenes. But with how broken a lot of the cutscenes and stuff are, it's tough to really want to go in and play that. So, as far as recommendation goes, if my career was what you're looking for, I cannot recommend this game. But if that's something you don't care about and you're just interested in playing basketball, maybe a couple seasons online play, then it's an easy recommendation. So, yeah. Cool.
All right, giddy up. Well, we're trucking along a long ways here. I was going to talk about Metroid, but I think that I'm not too far into it.
Neither
really,
am I.
And we could probably save it for next week.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Because we'll both have some more time under our belt, and we can really, talk in depth about it then.
Yeah. So let's take a little break, and when we come back, seriously, the biggest eShop roundup of all time. This is the herd is the mighty. Good year this year.
We got some ropes, and we're gonna wrangle them up.
The drought is over.
Yeehaw, baby! Alrighty, and we are back, and it is time to get into the largest eShop roundup we have ever had.
The eShop Roundup. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
That's going to feature Wii U, 3DS, Switch, all the goodness. But why don't we start it out with the good old Wii U, baby?
Let's do that. And what's more Wii U than a couple of virtual console games for the TurboGrafx 16? Huh? Now, first up, we got Daytona Twin B. It's $5.99. Have you ever played Twin B before?
I have not.
Okay, well, they did release a 3D Classics version on the 3DS. I've played that one, and it's really fun. It's just a shooter. You can play with 2 people. Not with the 3DS version. But I think that's the whole idea of Twin B. That's why it's called Twin. It's because you play with 2. And it's really cartoony.
I like the graphics.
Yeah, really cool. Almost like, seriously, like kind of like goofy, like Earthbound-esque looking, you know?
I was just going to say the screenshot I'm looking at has like these clouds with big dopey smiles.
Yeah. Very very funny, very cool looking game. Now next game.
We've got TurboGrafx China Warrior.
Oh my
Also
goodness.
$5.99. Now, it's up to you it's up to Kung Fu Master Wang to defeat the Dark Emperor, who stands at the top of the Kung Fu world in China. One-on-one fights against the game's realistic bosses will get you so excited that you'll feel like you're in the middle of a Kung Fu movie.
Now, do you see the screenshots for this game?
Dude, those are some
It's
big old sprites.
Huge sprites on the screen. Like, the top to bottom of the TV, and they're so funny looking. This game is hilarious looking.
I love the detail on his pants are top notch. And then he's got like the tiniest little feet of all time.
Yes.
But he's kicking the crap out of something. It's like, I don't know exactly what that enemy's supposed to be. He's like a robed man in green or something.
Yeah, like hunched over and then coming. Yeah, exactly. Now we have one more TurboGrafx 16 game. I forgot. Vigilante for $5.99.
Is that a car racing game at all?
Nope.
Nope. It's a good old-fashioned beat 'em up. It looks like.
Yep. Can you read the first?
Thugs have kidnapped your beloved Madonna. Do you think that's the Madonna?
I hope not.
Yeah. I'll let the thugs keep her.
Keep him. Keep her. Yeah, it has cool artwork actually. If you see like there's like detailed streets and like cars
Signs and stuff.
like rundown cars and stuff. It looks cool. I like I like the pixel art.
Yeah, even look at the sky in the background.
Yeah,
Like,
very
very
cool.
detailed. Brave the streets of New York City in this side-scrolling beat 'em up game. It actually looks pretty cool. If you're in the market for a beat 'em up game, this might not be a bad one to check out. Also $5.99, as you can imagine most or all TurboGrafx games are.
That's right. Now the last game on the Wii U is not a virtual console game. This is a brand new game that is I've seen hyped up pretty much a lot online. I think this was a kickstarted or like a crowdfunded game. I think.
It looks
maybe
great.
Not. Yes. This is called Earthlock Festival of Magic, and it's $9.99. Now, this is a really cool, like you said, cool-looking adventure RPG, and they say it's inspired by classic 3D RPGs of the 90s. So, and then it really does look nice. I'm not a big fan of the text, I think the text looks kind of cheap, like in the speech bubbles. But everything else though looks really nice.
You are a stickler for text.
Dude, I totally am.
I know you love your Comic Sans or whatever it is.
Don't you ever put Comic Sans in another of our shows.
I might just do it exclusively, just to grind those gears, baby.
I'll shut it down. But yeah, this game looks really cool. I think they've talked about it coming to Switch. It might already be confirmed to come to Switch. I
hope so. Just
it
because
looks cool, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine games on the whatchamacallit, the Wii U are doing too well.
Whatever.
But it also did come out on PS4, Windows, Xbox One, so you can get it out there. I don't see anything for Switch at the moment, at least not on the wiki page, but
I'm sure
it might be something to keep your eyes out.
Yeah. But we are going to switch over to the 3DS. It's so funny. I loaded it up. I'm like, there's probably nothing. I'm not even like, there's nothing on the 3DS. Like in the past couple weeks, Oh my goodness! Like some of the biggest games ever came out.
It's a busy. The 3DS is alive and well.
Yep.
And we're kicking it.
Alive.
It's alive and not dead. I'm gonna try and pronounce this. I could be off. Cristarino?
Yeah, sure.
It's a strategy RPG game. 2 players get teleported to an alternate universe and are trying to get back.
It's the most stereotypical game
JRPG ever.
Just yes. I have nothing else to say. I mean, it's a strategy RPG adventure game.
Is it a strategy RPG?
They say it has like strategy in it, so.
Yeah, it looks like your standard overworld with your sprites running around and then battles with it's dragons and dark hobbits.
Yeah,
it looks like it could be pretty generic. It's something.
Yep. But next up we have a cool thing that came out that I just didn't. It's on the 3DS, so I just wasn't up. I don't know. I just forgot it was coming out. And anyway, Monster Hunter Stories for $39.99. Are you interested in this game? I'm not saying to get it for 3DS, but I mean, just in general, are you interested in this?
I haven't really been following it too much. I believe it. I think it's supposed to.
It's a JRPG.
Yeah,
in the Monster Hunter universe, and I think it has a lot of Pokemon-like mechanics.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, maybe if this came out last year, I might have been more in tune to check it out. But like you said,
in the year of the RPG.
Yeah, with so many things going on with Switch and all that jazz, and some bigger 3DS titles coming, it's like I just don't have time for it. And I mean, I feel like I've heard pretty good things about it. I could be wrong,
really
but
good things about it. Yeah.
But no, like I said, I mean, maybe in a different world, maybe a different time and place.
Well, I just mean, right. I'm not saying you're necessarily gonna get it, but I mean, does it appeal to you?
Like I said, yes and no. I mean,
okay.
I feel like
if
I was going to invest a bunch of time in an RPG, this would probably be pretty low on the totem pole.
Sure.
Like, maybe if I had beaten all the other RPGs I really wanted to do, and I wanted another one, I might check it out. But yeah, I guess ultimately it doesn't really interest me that much.
Gotcha. Well, another game that came out last week, that out of nowhere, that, like I said, if it came out like a few years ago, could have been one of the biggest games on the system. That is Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition for $29.99. And,
yes, sir. The shadow drop.
This is pretty crazy because it has touchscreen management, which is kind of cool. And they're gonna patch in stereoscopic 3D support.
See, that's really cool.
How cool is that? I think that's amazing. And it's like okay, you have my attention, but I would never get it. But it's just like, man, if that comes out and if it's on sale sometime, it's I don't know, that just sounds like a lot of fun. And honestly, it can the map size is not that small. It's not too much smaller than the Wii U version. So I don't know. Very interesting. It came out. It's just out of nowhere.
You know what?
I hope they do a bundle, a 2DS XL bundle.
Yeah, I think at this point, Minecraft will just. If there is a gaming platform out there, Minecraft is going to find its way on there. And it's sort of incredible to think about, what other game has been on literally, every single platform?
Tetris.
Yeah. Seriously, and it's crazy
Sonic.
to even think about, Minecraft is, on the level of Tetris.
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird.
Surpassed.
It's weird because to me Minecraft is just whatever, it's not, not my cup of tea, but
right.
It's just crazy to think how much of a phenomenon this game is and the love people have for it. And I mean, that's great.
yeah.
I'm glad that it's just coming, like when Microsoft, purchased Mojang. Like, I'm glad it wasn't like them trying to be like, well, the only way you could play Minecraft is if you pick up an Xbox One, So
they would be really dumb to do that.
Yeah, that would be silly. But
I mean, in some ways. But
it would be dumb, but also at the same
do that
token,
with Minecraft too.
You got to think like all of the people love Minecraft so much that they probably would if it was only for Xbox.
They will do that with Minecraft too, and people are gonna go, well, I'm getting an Xbox X.
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll probably do Xbox and PS. I mean, not PS.
Have we talked
PC.
about how stupid that name is?
Xbox X.
I just can't believe how it's like compounding stupid.
It's almost as good as Nintendo's new 3DS.
It's just like, to me, like, Xbox is stupid in itself, because what does the X stand for? It's just nonsense. What does it stand for? No one knows. It's fun. It's easy to say. No, I get it, but it doesn't mean anything. So that's nonsense. Xbox One, what the heck? It's the third Xbox.
Well, yeah, I guess Xbox has always been weird because it went, Xbox? I'm fine with the Xbox, like, the name. Like, and if you want to keep that.
Well, now you are. I know, but it's so silly. It's just like, it's so immature and silly to me.
Well,
like,
think about
Xbox,
the time when it came out. GameCube.
I know. GameCube makes sense, though.
Because it's a cube.
It's a cube, and you game on it. I mean, it makes sense.
But Xbox. It was a box with an X on it.
Exactly. And
so it made sense.
You just hit the nail on the head.
But the thing
what the
is
heck does that mean?
That they went to 360, which is like, okay, like that, all right, whatever. And then like, all-encompassing, I get that idea. But yeah, then to go to Xbox One, yeah, it's just sort of strange.
And then Xbox One X. Are you kidding me?
Really, Sony's the only one that's had like good continuity.
Oh, see, PlayStation, that is an incredible name.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then the PlayStation Pro. Like it all makes sense,
PlayStation 4 Pro, or yeah, it does. I know they have great naming conventions. Totally. Anyway, yeah, Minecraft new Nintendo 3DS edition. Good job, Microsoft, for supporting Nintendo. Next up, we have Percy's Predicament Deluxe.
When I first read it, I thought it said Perry's Predicament. I'm like,
no,
no.
This is a game for $5.99. It's new 3DS only, of course. And if you see the screenshots for this thing,
it looks like Super Monkey Ball.
You navigate a course in a blurry orb. You are a penguin. And you're like stuck in the most blurriest of orbs I've ever seen, navigating like 100 courses and collecting things. Oh, I don't know about this eShop Roundup anymore, Casey.
I like this. 100 levels in 6 different environments, each with their own musical themes, means the fun never stops. Except it does. After those 100 levels, the fun has stopped. It's like gameplay is restricted to 2D only. Which is weird that it's like, because you think like, if it's new 3DS exclusive, maybe it's like they could only get it running with the 3D and whatnot there. But
yeah,
this game also came out for the Wii U, I believe.
What?
Yeah, when I typed it into Nintendo's site there.
That must be the deluxe part.
Anyway, yeah,
we probably don't need to give any more attention.
You can only get Percy's Predicament on the Wii U, but you can get the deluxe version
for new 3DS.
Yes.
All right, our last game on the 3DS, Metroid: Samus Returns, $39.99. Game we've all been waiting for. I've been playing it. I'm enjoying it a lot, and we'll talk about it next week.
Yes, sir. Now it's time to get into the big boy section of the eShop Roundup.
Yeah, we just started. We have just started. So yes, but let's try to briskly do. I don't want to bore everyone.
Yes.
I mean, we can't overload. Anyway, yes,
it's time to
switch to the Switch eShop download.
Now, kicking us off, we've got RBI Baseball for $29.99 and Perry was kind enough to reach out to some staffers and some people we know to get some nice quotes, and we've got one for RBI Baseball from no one other than Danny the Bivs Bivens. And he says...
That's right. He says, RBI Baseball is a bit of a mess. It tries to be old school, but at the same time has some more modern features, such as complicated animations that end up slowing down things, namely the gameplay. He says, it's a functional game, but even if you are starved for a baseball game on Switch, it's probably best to take a pass.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't heard many good things about RBI Baseball.
No. But yeah, I can't. This is a retail game. I was walking in Target and I looked and it's like, oh my goodness, this is a physical game. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, RBI Baseball. Probably not the game you want. Anyway,
Nope.
Next up we have Lego Worlds for $29.99. Now, this is kind of like Lego's answer to Minecraft, I believe.
Yes, I
Don't
believe
really
so
know
too.
anything about it, really. Sorry, I didn't really look this up. I mean, I feel like if it was that, I would have heard more about it, you know?
Yeah, I think it's essentially just Minecraft but Lego brand.
Which is a great idea.
Which is funny
Like,
because Minecraft is just Legos on
is
the computer.
Legos. Yeah. I've always thought it's like, yeah. So I'd like to hear more about that.
I mean, just looking at screenshots and stuff, like, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I was ever really wanted to get into one of these games where you just have sort of free range to do whatever you want as far as creating things, like, I think Lego Worlds looks more appealing to me than Minecraft, like, looking at the visuals, you know? And, like, you know, I used to play with, you know, I wasn't the biggest Lego fan, but, like,
Yeah.
back in the day, I'd play with Legos and stuff, so...
Yeah, Legos is huge. Yeah, exactly. So
and honestly,
cool.
TT Games usually does a pretty good job with the other Lego games, so I'd imagine they put some love and care into this one.
Cool. Speaking of love and care, Physical Contact 2048 for $4.99. This is a cat.
Contact.
2048. It's a casual
But head-minded
game. For better grades, polite operation is necessary.
It's so weird. Any two partners, including parents, friends, and lovers, are suitable.
Me and Casey are suitable,
We're suitable.
for we are lovers.
Yeah. And friends. And parents.
And parents.
So weird. So weird.
Anyway, I don't know anything about this, and we can just keep moving on. Next up, this is a cool game. It's a Neo Geo game. It's $7.99, but it's a side-scrolling platformer.
No.
Yeah,
I don't believe you.
It is. It looks cool. It's very beautiful. I'm probably gonna pick this up, to be honest. I'm getting through some games, and I want to pick it up, but probably not, because SteamWorld's coming out. So.
Blues
Anyway,
Journey.
Yeah, Blues Journey. I forgot to say the name of it. Blues Journey. Check us out. I think it's co-op too. I think if I saw that before, but yep, check it out. Anyway, we're gonna keep moving. We have another one down the line too for the Neo Geo. Anyway, next up we have the game we've already talked about, Lichtspeer Double Speer Edition.
$9.99.
I think it's $9.99. It might be $14.99. Is it?
It's $9.99.
All right.
We good.
Okay, cool.
But we talked
Yeah.
enough about that.
We talked enough about it. Check it out if that sounds interesting.
Next up,
yes.
we've got The Bridge for $9.99. Now, this is a logic puzzle game that forces you to reevaluate your preconceptions of physics and perspective. And as Perry was kind enough to reach out to the hardest working man in America, David Lloyd, and he says...
North America.
Yeah, I guess he's not in America. Yeah. Yes, he's Canadian. The Bridge is a representation of what it would be like if Isaac Newton and MC Escher, did I say that?
Escher.
Made a puzzle video game together.
Yeah, I think he liked it. So,
It looks pretty cool. Like it's got, it's like black and white. It looks almost like hand drawn.
Yeah,
some
and I've read
elements.
some really cool reviews with his around, and everyone, it's got some pretty solid reviews. So
It sort of looks wise reminds me of like Back to Bed and Figment, the upcoming release
Exactly.
from those developers.
See, that was also based off of MCS, sure. So, and like it says, it forces you to reevaluate your preconceptions of physics and perspective, which I like. I mean, like you got to think about physics in a different way, So
yeah,
sounds cool. Yeah, check it out. This next game, Neurovoider. It's just Neurovoider, isn't it?
yeah. I think it might have been a typo in there.
Neurovoider. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. $13.99. Now this is a twin stick shooter RPG, and David Lloyd reviewed this and he loved it. I mean, and I should say it has really cool like Super Nintendo like graphics, which is awesome. But anyway, David Lloyd gave us a quote, and he said, "Neurovoider is a twin stick action shooter that has RPG elements with an emphasis on blowing stuff up. Your goal is to upgrade your mech with the baddest weapons you can find to blow up everything you can see." And I think by baddest he means like the coolest.
The most bad.
Yeah, so cool. I'm definitely interested in that game as well. There's so many games, Case. There's so many.
Just like this next game we've got here, Double Dragon 4 for $6.99. Classic Double Dragon action. And
Woo, baby.
We reached out to good old Dan, and he's got quite a bit for us here.
Yes, good old Dan Vella.
Yep.
So I asked him for a quote, and he gave us
A paragraph,
a
a
nice
novel.
big quote. Yeah,
He gave us a novel. He says, "I bought it because Double Dragon has a warm place in my heart. I remember playing the original back in the 80s. It's the game that started meant to do that in my house. After the slowest first mission ever, the game picks up nicely. I thought it would be short without much replayability. The story is short, but not soon after you beat the game, you unlock enemies to play in the story mode. The characters have different movesets, so the game stays fresh. I can see myself playing multiplayer with friends and my brother. And one more thing. I was hoping for that sweet chiptunes that I remembered from when I was a kid. Sadly, the tracks sound nothing like the NES originals that I love, but they're still amazing. Can't complain for what I paid. My opinion would be skewed. Skewed due to his nostalgic goggles. So that's something to keep in mind. It's $6.99. I feel like that's a decent price point to get in on the game. Like not too much of a commitment. And I mean, if you like Double Dragon action, it sounds like this is dishing up some more of it.
Yeah, I've heard like negative things about the game as well.
Yeah, me too.
So it's actually kind of refreshing to hear that from someone. It's like that, because it looks like pretty cool. It looks pretty fun. I like the idea and everything. So cool. Thank you, good old Dan. You're the best. And I want to say real quick that I want to be including the community on the eShop Roundup. Since we are a week, after, so we have time to hear from the community. So if you ever want to send us something like that about a game you've been playing that we can include, that would be awesome.
Yes. So I think these quotes are great because, like you said, we don't get to play all these games. So if we have some firsthand experience from you guys, that'd be great to get out to the other listeners and let them know what's up.
Yep, so you can email us at talknintendopodcast@nintendoworldreport.com. Whew, I gotta take a nap after saying that. Anyway, next up, we have Rayman Legends for $39.99. Now, I gotta say, I downloaded the demo for this and I played it and I fell in love with this game. Seriously, I was like, oh my goodness, this game's amazing. And I did not have that on the Wii U. I liked it on Wii U. It's very pretty, but I played this all on my Switch on the screen. It looks gorgeous. There are touchscreen levels. Now, I'm pretty sure they're in the Wii U version where you're just doing touchscreen stuff and you're like leading characters through. It is so much fun. There's tons of characters you can play as. There's just tons of content. Anyway.
Oh, this game is absolutely jam-packed with content.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. So, Brian Rose, NWR staffer, he told us that unless you really like Legends, there isn't much here for those that have played this on other systems. But if you've missed out on Rayman's resurgence on modern consoles, there's no reason not to pick up this brilliant platformer. So, I agree. I really want to pick it up. I still feel it's like I got it for $20 on Wii U. So, I just can't spend $40 on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Once it hits that 20 though, I will be in, and it looks amazing. So
yeah, I had this game on Wii U too, and I played a little bit of it and then got sidetracked. But if I remember correctly, it's got all of the, it's a brand new game, or it was a brand new game for the Wii U. So it's got, a full game's worth of content, plus it had the 3DS levels on there as well. So it was like, there was so much.
Not 3DS, you mean like the Origins.
Origins, yeah, wasn't that on the...
It was on Wii.
Oh,
It
Wii?
did come out on 3DS, but I mean, that was like
Okay.
a really weird port. But yeah,
Gotcha.
anyway.
So there's almost 2 games worth of content in this package, and like you said, if you
No, but
missed
plus more, like plus mini games, like that basketball type game.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call it? Kung Foot.
that's great.
And there's just a bunch of, like I said, yeah, you can actually play as different characters. And I think those Mario and Luigi ones are in there too, right? I think so.
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know.
But
I
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
we talked about it before. But anyway, yes, I really want to check it out. It looks gorgeous. Anyway, next up, we have the Project Octopath Traveler demo. This is free. Man, game looks gorgeous. I've played it.
Did you got to play
probably
it
talk
yet?
about it next week, sorry.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I downloaded it, and since I've been so busy, I haven't got to get into it yet. But I cannot wait. I've only seen really, really positive things about the demo.
Yeah.
And
it's
just
so gorgeous.
looks insanely beautiful.
Absolutely. Yep. It's totally up my alley for how it looks. So we'll talk about it next week. Next up though, Semi-Spheres for $9.99. I believe Neil reviewed this for the site. Neil Ronahan, site director, and he gave us a quote here. He said, "Semi-Spheres is a neat little puzzle game that often makes you do 2 things at once, or at least try to solve 2 puzzles at once. It's chill as all get out too. A little short and simple though." So I thought that's a great little wrap up. So that's also something that, that it's a quality game. Another game on the Switch that I could download. So just crazy, all these games. There's too many games, Case.
Yep. Now, it would not be the eShop Roundup if we didn't have a Neo Geo game. And I thought, I was thinking out there, people might have been getting worried because normally we kick off with the Neo Geo games when we talk the Switch. But don't you guys fret. We've got one for you here. Spin Master.
We've already talked about it.
Huh?
We already talked about a Neo Geo game.
Oh,
you
God,
ding-dong.
the Blues Journey. I forgot.
Yeah.
Then what the heck's this Neo Geo game doing down here?
Because that was last week's that we missed.
I got you. Okay, you threw me off. But... All right, my bad. Neo
It's
Geo
okay.
Spin Master, $7.99. Enter a cartoony world full of miracles. Side-scrolling action. Very comedic-looking characters and enemies.
big cartoony anime-looking characters.
Ooh, that
and
dragon.
Yeah, very. Like I said,
It
it's
looks
Neo Geo,
gorgeous.
So
It looks
absolutely
beautiful.
gorgeous. Big sprites, and it's more of an action game than a platformer.
Mm-hmm.
You're shooting and stuff, and yeah,
Looks good.
cool.
Looks good, man.
Totally.
Like this would be a game I should write down because this would be something I might be interested in checking out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I read a review, I think Nintendo Life, and I remember they liked it, but it was just like a short game, I think.
You know what?
That's not too bad for me.
I was gonna say that's
I'm fine
not a
with the short
bad thing
game.
when you got
that's
a
a good
huge
thing.
stack of games to get through.
Yep. Well, the next game we have, and would you believe that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more games. Okay, the next game, Beach Buggy Racing for $9.99.
Beach Buggy Racing.
Now this is a mobile port.
Boo! I feel like we should just get like some sort of button that we could just, whenever mobile's mentioned, it'll just automatically boo.
No, I like us being the button. I like you being the button. But yeah, Justin Nation, Nindy Spotlight, and NWR staffer. Yeah, he told us Beach Buggy is a big fish from mobile that drowns in the wake from Mario Kart. The controls are just too floaty, no technique to it, and the CPU bosses are too cheap. Yeah, and if you give it one glance, I go, ugh. That just doesn't look ugly or anything like something I'd want to play. So
yeah, it's sort of generic-y.
But I guess, looking at it compared to Mario Kart, it's a sixth of the price.
Yeah.
So,
if you want to waste a sixth of a price. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of wasting a sixth of the price, what's this next game?
This next game, 36 Fragments of Midnight for $2.99. Looks like we've got a quote here that just says, Casey says... Alrighty, and the next game we've got on the list here is Pan, A Tiny Big Adventure. For an even $5, getting you those coins that you need to get.
Yep.
Now,
those jerks.
This is an adventure with storytelling and puzzle elements involved. Yeah. It looks pretty cool graphically. I like the art style.
Cool. It looks really cool. I don't know anyone that's played it. I've reached out. No one's played it. So if anyone knows, write in. It looks cool.
Interesting. But, yeah, it looks. I like the art style. I wonder what kind of puzzles you'll be solving. Yeah, if you've been playing it, let us know, folks.
Giddy up. This next game, Quest of Dungeons for $8.99. Boom. Now, this is a roguelike game, and it's so much of a roguelike that, see, this is what I forget. The roguelike term is because of the game Rogue.
Is it?
Do you know that?
Nah, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
This looks like a roguelike looking at the screenshots.
Yeah. Justin Nation, he gave us another quote for this game. He said, "The closest true roguelike you're likely ever to play short of playing it in ASC2. Is that? I don't know what that is. ASCII?
It's probably ASC2. I'm not sure what that stands for.
Sorry, I don't know what that is. Anyway, sorry, Justin. You'll need to get over the very minimalist look, but if you love to be challenged and never play the same dungeon crawl twice, it delivers. The third dungeon is the devil. I think I've attempted it about 40 times now and still haven't been able to put together a win. Tricky stuff."
So it sounds like if you are looking for a difficult roguelike, this might be something up your alley.
Totally. I'm interested in this game for sure. Like I said, it's just, there's too many games. I never thought I'd ever say that.
Now, this next game is a little game we talked about earlier, Kingdom New Lands for $14.99. And we've got a quote here from some Jimmy named Perry, and he says, "You should buy this game if you like great games."
I'll agree with that.
So there you have it.
That's probably what I would say if I quoted.
Now let me ask you, Perry, have you ever wanted to spend $150 on a single video game?
I think I have. I think I technically have. Oh, for sure on Yoshi's. Well, I guess for Smash, for sure. If you count the amiibo.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a digital game.
Honestly, if you count all of the DLC for Smash Wii U, it was probably close to $100. Probably more if you bought it all. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes, NBA 2K is hit
Legend
the eShop.
Edition.
Gold.
Yeah, there's 3 tiers here.
3 SKUs, yes.
So
the original
go ahead,
NBA
explain.
2K18 is your standard $59.99. The Legend Edition is $99.99, and the Legend Edition Gold is $149.99. I don't know exactly
What
what
is
the difference
going
is.
on?
I know. I think one of the Legends editions come with like a special Shaquille thing. I'm assuming the gold version comes with like a bunch of credits that like you could normally like would purchase, just sort of baked into the price, and you get a bunch of like the currency that you can spend on stuff.
That is so weird,
I don't know,
dude.
man. That seems like a whole lot of money for a game that comes out every single year.
Crazy. Yeah. But whatever. You got your 3 SKUs. Tell us which one you get, everyone. It better be the Legend Edition Gold.
Yeah. Then
All right,
otherwise,
we
don't bother writing in.
We have arrived at our last game, and that is Robonauts for on the Switch, and it's $13.49, which is the special launch price. Now I saw pictures and it looks really nice. It looks pretty, and it has gravity switching arcade shooting action. Now, why don't you tell us the quote we got?
Yes, the quote, Justin again, because I say David Lloyd's the hardest working man. Both of these men, unbelievable workers. Justin reviews like 8 games a week. I don't know how he does it, but
not even. I mean,
maybe
yeah,
more
like, on a slow week.
He says, I had high hopes for Robonauts, and the first few levels actually play well, but in the end, the mandatory auto-aim really gets in the way of having fun. So that's sort of a bummer to hear that. It seemed like it was, had some promise, but ultimately, I guess a decision with the mechanics sort of ended up being to its detriment.
Yep. Well, thank you. Thank you for rounding up all that game cattle. I've had a really, really hard day. Man, I had there's 28 of them. 28 games we just talked about. That's sick. Anyway, yes, I need a beer. Yeah.
Here we are.
Let's go to the
YouTube Saloon.
Yes, we're at the YouTube Saloon. We have a bunch of stuff to catch up on. There are 2 challenges that we haven't talked about yet. One of them was the arms. We did another arms challenge, 1 versus 1.
Straight up.
Just
straight
up, mano y mano.
Just each with 2 fists, and we went at it.
That's right. So check that out. And then we also, up this week, was the Donkey Kong Country World 2 Challenge.
Yes, we enjoyed that first challenge. I mean, I personally really like these retro-themed challenges. I have a lot of fun with them. So we decided to instead go back and do a Race of World 2 this time around. And, definitely want to check that out.
For sure.
You'll have some ammo.
Yeah. And as for our mini plays, I did a mini play of Kid Icarus. I played through the first 2 levels. That game is super hard. And, I love that game, actually. That's a great game. That's a classic.
Yep.
It really is a good platformer. It really is. I like it. And then, what did you do?
With the recently released Fast RMX update, adding a couple new levels, a couple new tracks, and I should say 6 new levels, I went back and I did a mini play of both of the new cups. I ran through them both.
Yes.
So you can check
very
out
cool
all the new
seeing
courses.
all those. Yes, very cool. He talks about a lot of the stuff. Our like when we matched up in the very beginning.
Oh God,
by
that was a
pressing
disaster.
A at the same time. Yeah.
Actually, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Anyway, now the last thing I want to mention here is I want to announce that we're gonna have our first mini play series, basically, where one of us plays through a whole game, and I've decided to start this, and I'm gonna play through the entirety of Metroid Other M for the Wii. I'm telling you right now that this game is absolutely amazing and an awesome Metroid experience with very cool. I think it's one of the biggest overrated, like, what am I trying to say?
Underrated.
Well,
because everyone
underrated,
hates on
but
it.
I just well, they hate on it because of the dumb cutscenes, which aren't even that bad. Like, that's the thing. It's like, sure, they're cheesy Japanese, like, anime drama, you know, like, whatever. But they're not even that bad. But anyway, the gameplay is so cool. The game is so well designed and so smooth, and I love the game. So anyway, I've already recorded 4 episodes of it, and we'll see how the schedule goes. I think I might do 2 a week and release them on a day, but just follow us on YouTube and you'll know. Yeah.
Now we've got a couple shout-outs to get into, and I believe we have a pair of men who went out and conquered your Chicken Wiggle level, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yes, the Doom and Such level, that was, you know, the whole thing, the whole winner of our contest that we had. And yeah, we have Shad Welch, who named it, so that's good that he beat it, and he found all the fun and all the loot. And then we also have Joseph Ladau, who also beat it. So those guys are amazing. And I just played through Joseph's level. He has 1 level up there. If you search for Pure Eval, it's like Pure Evil, but it's Pureval. That's his Twitter handle too. He has a level on Chicken Wiggle, and it's like ridiculously hard. I was like, oh my goodness.
He ramped it up.
It just keeps going. No, yeah, it's like 5 levels of craziness. But it's really fun. Check it out. So thank you guys for beating that and for proving that you are Chicken Wiggle champions.
Yes.
Anyway.
And we've got a special shout out to Eric Mitchell, who actually hit us up on Twitter, and he was actually the inspiration for checking out the recently released levels for Fast RMX. So,
yes, that's such a great idea. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, that was awesome. And you know, that sort of made us realize, you know, open the door. If anyone has any recommendations on what you'd like to see for a mini play or a challenge, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to check out and do some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make videos that you guys want to watch. So if you have any recommendations.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we're just 2 guys. We have limited supply of thinking and options. It's so nice to have ideas from the community like that, because, you know, we're striving to think of what should we do, you know. So it's nice. It really is nice to get other people to work for us to think of stuff. So anyway, thank you guys, and for sure, if I just wanted to give this one last shout out, because I've been playing this game like crazy. Chicken Wiggle, I love Chicken Wiggle. I play it in between Metroid. I've been posting a lot of levels lately, and if you want to search for those levels, just and I think you can even with Joseph's level that I talked about, one of the tags, just do TNP. He tagged it like that too. So
Oh, and what was I say? Last but not least, on the Chicken Wiggle front,
Villainy discount. Villainy discount.
it is on sale currently for $9.99, down from $14.99. So
yeah, I don't know how much longer that's going.
why
I hope
was
it's
there
still...
not a discount de Villa de discount?
I know. I just thought of that.
You got overburned
Yes,
by
guys.
the huge amount
Yeah.
of eShop.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But yes, guys, if you can go right now, Chicken Wiggle, it's 33% off. It's $10. Oh, it's such a good game. It's so much fun. I really do. I love it. I've put over 30 hours into it already. It's a really awesome game. So yeah. Anyway, I know. But you still might even hear me plug it in the future because I love it so much. I got a Chicken Wiggle shirt too.
I saw that, yes.
And I'm going to be, next video that we do, I'm going to be wearing that.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick little breather. And then when we come back, we're going to round out the show with the news and the return of the Craigslist Roundup.
Giddy up.
Alrighty, we are back, and it is time for a hearty
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
Alrighty, so we're going to kick it off with a bit of a rumor, but I guess there are pictures, but Netflix customer service rep says Netflix is, quote, locked and loaded for the Nintendo Switch and awaiting Nintendo approval. Now, this is to be taken with a grain of salt just because it is a customer service representative, so, they're not necessarily always filled in on the greater plans of the company, but it would be pretty cool.
Okay, let's say this is true. I think it's awesome because I don't really take my iPad with me, and I take my Switch with me, and that big, beautiful screen, I'll use it to watch Netflix on. So it's like I would use it, especially with like the kickstand and everything. It's actually something that would be cool. So I think that would be really good.
Yeah, no, I think
it's not the biggest thing in the world, but
yeah, it's something I probably won't use a lot, but I know
also
there will be a lot of people out there.
At home, also that would be really cool because it's like if you're watching something and then you go to the bathroom, you can just grab it out of the dock and keep watching. You know what I mean?
Oh no, yeah,
anywhere,
for sure.
Anything, if you're going to anywhere, like going to make something in the kitchen. No,
I think it can only help. Like there will be no situation where it's bad.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, next up in the news, Nintendo stock closes at 44.59 today, which is, in case if you don't follow it too much, I mean, obviously we do, like we know what that means, but if in case you don't know what that means, that's the highest it's been in almost a decade. So obviously the Wii.
Times are good, baby.
They are good, and it's all. I got to thinking when I saw this news.
Celebrate good times, come on!
Dun 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 dun. I got to thinking that I was like, okay, well, the only way we can go now is down.
Yeah. We've peaked, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we've peaked. Oh my goodness. Yep, it's all downhill. No, this is really fun. Like I said, what a time to be alive. Wolfenstein 2 and Doom is coming along with Skyrim, and it's just weird. It's just what a weird turn of events, But yeah, and now speaking of good news, which, I mean, this doesn't really, it's just nice to hear, because this kind of goes hand in hand with the last thing, but why don't you go ahead and read the next bullet?
Yes, the Switch has outsold Xbox One and PS4 again in August. That makes Nintendo Switch has been the best-selling platform in 4 of the 6 months since launching in March 2017.
And that's
like you
just
said,
because they don't have enough of them made.
Yeah, like you were saying, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard for a hot new console to outsell 2 consoles that have both been out for a couple years now. But like you said, it's just good to see. And like you said, I think those 2 months were definitely because, stock issues were probably why they weren't the top selling. But, needless to say, I don't know offhand, but I'd be willing to guarantee that the Wii U did not outsell any other consoles probably outside of the first month, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's just encouraging to see that the Switch, is doing well.
Oh, yeah. As it should, because it's amazing. Next up, we have the Super Mario Odyssey file size. This is interesting to know. It's 5.7 gigs.
It's so crazy how Nintendo does such a good job of making their robust games, that are, huge, like Breath of the Wild and stuff, such a small file size compared to some of these other. Like I said, I think when I downloaded Doom for PS4, it was like 50 gigs or something.
Right.
It's like,
See, here's the thing. This is why I love Nintendo, because deep down, they are experts at what they do. Like, they're not only a company that, that publishes things. They are a company that develops things. And they are amazing at it. And they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just incredible. It's like, it's not like Sony. It's not like Microsoft. They're,
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to say anyone can make a game. But I do think there is something cool about, like, making a game, but also being cognizant of, okay, we need to try and make this a small file size because we want it to be accessible for people to download.
Right.
Where, like,
Right.
you know, like I said, Doom and these other games, like, they probably just don't even bother compressing things because it's like, well, who cares? Like, we have a terabyte worth of memory, people that are built into every system. So
Right.
I think it's sort of just a cool step that, like, they go, and, like, even when you think back to, like, the Wii and stuff, how they were like, yes, like, it doesn't use, like, any energy, you know what I mean, as far as,
Right.
like, being plugged into the wall. And I just feel like Nintendo's always thinking of those things that I feel like most companies are probably not thinking about.
Right. Now, this next news is pretty cool. Square Enix is trying to get full Final Fantasy 15 on the Switch. And they say, we're actually doing very specific technical investigations into what's possible at the moment. They say where we are at the moment, we've completed those tests and have worked out where the ground lies. We're currently in the middle of the discussion and debate about what we should be doing and how to realize that on the how to realize that on the Switch, which is really cool to hear, because like they're actually putting a lot of effort into this. Because I think they're thinking this thing's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah,
It should
I
be
think
portable.
Square Enix is full on board with the Switch. I mean,
Yep.
we're seeing, like you
Octopath
said,
and
Octopath, and I know when we
Lichtspeer, right?
talked about this Final Fantasy 15, and them sort of hinting the Switch.
Yeah, we
you
were
know-
thinking the mobile.
Yeah, the mobile episodic thing, and it was like, that'd be fine, you know what I mean? But it's like, we would want the big boy, you know what I mean? So it's cool that they're approaching that.
Yeah, I mean, and they continue on to say the other thing, you see the mobile version, the PC version. One thing we value is to optimize the way the game plays and the experience for the individual hardware it's on, rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. We can't currently announce anything. We haven't come to a full decision on the best way to do it yet. We're having very open, frank discussions with Nintendo at the moment about what they think is the best thing to do. It's all under investigation, which that sounds kind of scary, but that's good.
No, I think I mean, first and foremost, like you said, it's great that they're trying, but I think it's also a nice sign that if they're having discussions with Nintendo about this, you know what I mean? Like, there's a very simpatico relationship between the two, it
Right.
seems like, at the moment.
Totally.
And,
Totally.
like, a couple, back, I mean, I remember, N64 days back when they jumped ship to PlayStation and they didn't want
Yeah.
anything to do with
But
Nintendo.
now Cloud
and then,
is in Smash.
Yeah, and then I was thinking even, like, then all of a sudden we were like, oh, we'll give you some Final Fantasy games, but they're going to be a Crystal Chronicles offshoot, which not that
Yeah.
those games were bad necessarily or
Yeah.
anything, but, like,
Well, it's kind of like what they were saying here, right? The optimizing the way the game plays for the individual hardware, rather than a one size fits all approach. Which so like you said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's nice to have them trying to take their main stuff and
Yeah.
optimize it.
come on, Square, baby, let's go! Although
Yep.
I can, Octopath, man, woo, baby.
Yep. Now, this next one, I don't know too much about. I know a little bit, but Nintendo has filed copyright strikes against the Super Mario 64 Online, which is a game that aimed to allow up to 25 players to play in the Mushroom Kingdom together.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know too much about this project, but I figured it might be worth noting. Another fan game being struck down by the long law of Nintendo, but it makes sense,
No,
especially
they have to do it.
especially with Odyssey coming out. It's like they want all of the attention on that. They don't want any other offshoots of any Mario games, you know what I mean?
Well, and also, they really have to do that because sure, they might not even care, but they have to actively
Protect
protect them for future things, to show proof that they, have always protected their assets.
Plus,
So
I feel like it also, if you let one game slide, it sort of opens the door for, like, the next game that you try and shut down. And they're like, well,
Right.
then maybe they're like, well, yeah, but you let this happen, you know what I mean? And then maybe there's some sort of legal
Right.
loophole that they might find themselves in. And
right.
you know what I mean? You got to protect your
Yeah.
own, and you can't blame them.
Now, I just thought of something. How cool would it be if in Samus Returns, if you could unlock the another Metroid 2.
Can you imagine? Although I saw those the developers of that game tweeting out like in full support of Samus Returns, and he was like, "I want you guys to like go out and get this game. You know, like I love Metroid kind of thing." So I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Now this is exciting news for me.
Yes. What is it?
You read it.
No,
I'm too excited.
All right. Yes.
Stop.
Pictocross S is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and you will not have to wait long because it comes out September 28th for $8.
Oh, baby.
Good
That
price
is exactly.
point. Good release date. Come on.
Oh,
If you like
baby.
Pictocross.
I know, like Pictocross. Picross.
Picto,
yeah, Pictocross would be
Picto
cool
chat.
too. Yeah. Now, yes, I wonder how this is going to play. Obviously I'm going to be playing in handheld mode, you know, and I hope it's touchscreen and everything. I just assume.
I have a feeling it will be.
I mean, it has to be, but it's also like, you know, there's
It doesn't but it doesn't have to be.
But it might be kind of cool that if it's on the screen too. I mean, if you can play it, but I don't know why I would ever play it like that. But it doesn't matter. That's awesome. I can't wait to have some Picross on my Switch. So,
yes,
that's fun.
Yes. I'm sure that's going to make plenty of people happy. Now, to wrap us up here with the news, this is hot off the wire. And this is all speculation from Wario64 on the SNES Classic, as far as how much stock each store is going to be receiving. So this is all, information that you should take with a grain of salt, but I thought it was interesting nevertheless. He tweets, some Walmarts in New Jersey will supposedly have 96 units of the SNES Classic, one reporting as low as 18. BrickSeek data could be inaccurate information. Then he goes on to say, was just told that Target will have more than 100,000 SNES Classics on the first run. Biggest Targets will be getting 300, mid Targets 100, low Targets getting 60. And then he said, supposedly those stores that are getting 60 SNES Classics only got 15 NES Classic last year in comparison. So
this is awesome news. Also, we haven't covered the huge news, right? About the NES Classic?
Oh, man, I forgot that was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're making more.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, I didn't include that because I guess I had a brain fart. Well, yeah, it was announced that, first and foremost, originally we thought the SNES Classic was going to have just a print through 2017, and then that was going to be
Because they said that.
Yeah. So now,
yeah. I mean,
they've revoked that, and they have said that will continue into 2018, and they will be releasing more NES classics in 2018. So
this is wonderful news. This is just so wonderful.
So it seems like, I know a lot of people when they came out and they were like, yeah, we heard, we're going to try and do better. Like a lot of people just thought that was PR, BS, essentially. But it looks like they're putting their money where their mouth is and trying to get more of these units out there to people. And, I'm happy about
dude.
it. Maybe
because I really want you to get an NES so we can play a bunch of challenges.
Get some challenges up in there. Yeah, no, that'll be great. Super stoked.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that'll do it for the news. So thank you, Casey, for the classic Wrangler for wrangling up those news things.
That's what I do, baby. Wrangle.
Yep. Now, you know what I do is I wrangle up some Craigslist findings.
Some good deals.
And it's been a heck of a long time since the last one.
Yes, sir.
So,
I'm excited to hear all about it.
It's time for the Craigslist Roundup.
Craigslist Roundup.
Craig Ha.
Craig Hall.
Yes. Okay. So, first up we have I got a DSi XL, the pink one I have never got before, and it's gonna be added to my collection. But I got it for $20.
Sounds like a good price.
Yep, they sell for $50, so good $30 profit there. But honestly, I'm just gonna keep it for my collection. My collection.
Your collection, sir.
I need to post a picture of my collection sometime. It's getting quite massive. I also picked up this thing. It's a huge. It's like 5 foot tall, even bigger than that. Excuse me. cardboard standout thing of Donkey Kong Country from the Game Boy Advance release. Someone was selling this on Craigslist for $10, and it came in its original box, and it wasn't ever used.
I hate
it.
you.
It looks brand new.
I want it. Those I love those standouts and cardboard cutouts. There's like when I see people who have like really big dedicated game rooms and they have those, it just really makes it look so good.
Yeah, and
It's
Donkey
like,
Kong
man,
Country
I
is
wish
so
I
classic.
I want one. But they're expensive, dude. They sell for a lot of money.
I don't know how much they sell. I couldn't find anyone selling them, so I don't really know the.
Like something. How tall did you say it was?
It's like over 5 feet.
I bet you could sell that easily for 50 plus, especially if it's still in like the box like that.
Yeah. Okay, well there you go. Now, my last order of business here. This is absolutely hilarious. I traded a pile of junk for a Switch. Now, by a pile of junk, I mean, I'm just kidding, everyone. Just calm down. I traded a Wii U and a Pro Controller and Bayonetta 2.
Now, I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you slip this person some sort of drug before you made this trade?
No, I did not.
Were they all hopped up on them goofballs?
I mean, it was a Wii U in box, and a Pro Controller and Bayonetta 2, and it came with 3D World and Nintendo Land.
It's like I get it, because the Wii U is still pretty expensive, but like it just seems strange that someone would be trading a Switch for that.
I don't really know why. He said he picked up the Switch at retail when it launched, and he said the whole point was so a scalper didn't get it. So he wanted to give it to someone for normal price. That's what he told me. So, you know, I'm not gonna sell it. Actually, I'm using the dock. Like I'm kind of taking everything out of it and using it, and then it'll be Jill's. It's Jill's system now, and play Animal Crossing when in the future. And like when I get Namco Museum too, do the
Namco Museum.
you know, the Pac-Man versus. So yeah, so that'll be fun at PAX.
Yeah, man. No.
Thing there.
Heck yeah.
Yep. Anyway, that'll do it for the Craigslist Roundup. Thank you for listening.
And that's not all. That's the end of the show.
That's right. Man, I can't believe we got through this in like 2 hours and like 10 minutes.
We did cut off a game or two we were going to talk about.
We did.
But no, I think that was a good jam-packed episode. We're all caught up now with the eShop and all the news. And next week we can get back into a nice normal-sized episode. I mean, probably be about the same length, but we'll be able to get a nice topic at the end.
Yeah, it actually isn't too long. I mean, you know, but like I said, there's no. Yeah, we had no show topic, so
Yeah.
pretty long.
But yeah.
Yes.
Like always, you can check us out on Twitter at Talk Nintendo Pod. That's Talk Nintendo POD. You can check us out on YouTube at Talk Nintendo. Link is in the description. Myself on Twitter at case_jets, and Perry
At P Burkham.
Yes, sir. And yeah, I want to thank you guys for listening as always. Again, if you have any recommendations for things you want us to check out and talk about on the show, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. And until next time, we'll see you next week.
Even if it's just like, can you guys shut the heck up? So it's an onion.
Yes, and it's an onion. Yeah, essentially an onion. But
I love onions.
I could do with or without them.
Oh, Casey, come on. Onion rings?
I do enjoy a good onion ring every once in a while.
Rodeo cheeseburger?
The old rodeo. Yeehaw!
Oh, baby.
But yeah, so essentially, the game of basketball.
eShop Roundup, sponsored by the Rodeo Cheeseburger.
Yeah. BK, have it your way.
I would totally be up for that, to be sponsored by the Rodeo Cheeseburger. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
We should probably hit up Burger King and see how they feel about working a partnership.
Dude, I'm telling you, if we lived in the same city, after every podcast, we'd go get a Whopper.
Our weekly Whopper?
Yep. It'd be our nighttime show.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's just us playing Switch in the parking lot of Burger King. This is really great burger. Oh God.
Anyway.
Yes, 2K.
It's the ghost of the previous
of Jimmy's past.